Welcome back, guys. You eagle-eyed viewers will remember this one from a previous video where I self-leveled the extremely bad wonky floor, and now I'm back to tile it, and as you can see it's moved on a bit now with the added bonus that it now actually has a roof. Here just to protect it. Again, I don't know how long this roof's going to last for. It rains again overnight. So we've got these classic pattern tiles which are quite in at the moment. They are really easy to cut and fix, and with the floor being completely flat and level, this is going to be a nice quick job. And as I always say, do the prep and the tiling is pretty straightforward. So I'm back here to reap the rewards. Let's get into it. For this one, the customer has said how he wants the floor set out. It will have a sunken floor mat in the doorway, so he wants a full tile from the flower bed and door pillar finishing around the mat. As you can see here, it'll be something like this. This makes it super simple for me. All I need to do is just square up the flower bed and the door, check that the tiles work okay to the other walls, and away I go. So I find the easiest way to square things up is to lay some tiles out with some spacers, then using my long level I can just adjust accordingly using my tape. First of all, I line the tiles up with the flower bed and check the square to the door and adjoining wall. It seems the flower bed is about 6mm out to the door here. I'm going to take my square from the door, so I'll adjust the flower bed tiles to work with that. I'm taking my square from the door as this is quite important visually as you walk in, and I want the mat area to be nice and square with it. I get a couple of rows square with the door and wall and then draw a line down the tile's edge. I use a permanent marker when working on decoupling mats like Ditra as it won't rub off and is easy to see. Bringing in another tile to extend my line, I now know to be square with the door I will need to take about 5mm off of the tile going into the flower bed on the left hand side. So next I just connect up my marks and now I have a square line to work to. The next thing is to set the tile lengthways. As I'm coming a full tile off of the pillar, I put the tile down on my square line and adjust it until it's running down to the pillar. Again, I just mark down the edge for the start point of that tile. Now I can just run my pen down the flower bed tile to see what I need to remove. This will scribe me the shape and the couple of millimeters that need to go. Before I get too excited, I just do a quick check with a tile to the ends of the room to make sure the cuts are okay. If this was my set out, I'd probably centre the tiles from the flower bed for even cuts around it. But even though it's the customer's desired set out, I just need to double check everything still works out okay. That's all good, so I just mark the final tile to cut into the flower bed, and you can see here what needs to come out. For both of these cuts I just ran the angle grinder down them as it's minimal to remove. With them cut, that's the dry laying and cutting done. I've got my start line so I can remove the tiles and mix up some adhesive. Here I mix up a full bag of Balflex 1, which is a good flexible medium set adhesive with a nice open time. It's about 5.5 litres of water per bag. Dragging my Gorilla Tub over, I can start scooping out the adhesive. First I just use the flat side of the notch trowel to fill in the indents on the matting. Then I'll go over and start using the notches, as always trying to keep the ribs in the same direction, and I'm using a 10mm notch trowel here. With that patch all spread, I'll flip the tile over and spread the back with a 6mm trowel in the same direction as the floor. This will give me a really good connection and high strength bond. Then it's just a case of putting that first tile down on the lines I drew earlier, one for the square and one for lining me up with the door pillar, with a good push and a wiggle. These tiles are super user friendly. They are actually listed as porcelain with their glaze on top but have more of a ceramic back. And like I say, they cut and stick super well. The rounded edge gives you a nice bit of tolerance and they come in various different patterns and colours. So a really easy tile for DIYers or beginners to revamp your walls or floor. I'm always cleaning as I go. You want to keep those joints nice and clean for when you come to grout. And with this type of tile you actually grout the manufactured joints, so keep that clean as well. So once I've filled in that patch, before moving on, it's good to check the square. So with my level, I will measure back to the door and make sure all my tiles are tight against the level. Then in this case, it's just important to double check my length tiles are going to line up with the pillar nicely. You can do this like you see here by just adding a tile and using your level. I'm happy with that, so now I'm just going to add some levelling clips. These tiles aren't massively bowed with their size only being 45 by 45 centimetres, but you'll generally get a better finish with levelling clips on larger tiles. With them installed, next I start looking at dry laying my angle cuts around the flower bed. Dry laying a few full tiles helps me to draw some marks to work from. So you can see here I can just use those lines to measure from, putting my tape to the wall and allowing for a joint and some play. I can then just transfer those marks to my tile, and now I have my angle to remove. Having a Sigma cutter makes this very easy. Just line the points up with the centre of the cutter, scribe, snap, and away you go. And you can see here that's not a bad cut just using the tape measure, but I'll just run my pen down it to give it a little bit more play and take it off on the angle grinder. I just do the same with the next angle pieces using my tape to mark and then just cutting through the line on the Sigma cutter. I spread the patch and stick those in, then I can work backwards to my square line. For the door here, the tile slides underneath, so I just add a centimetre to the cut size to tuck it under nicely. Again, using the level to keep everything straight, and you can see that all worked really well, and that was all planned to finish like this from the beginning when the floor was in a mess. So with that side filled in, I just start working back down another row to where the doormat will go. From here I decided to go for the cupboard next, so I cut the piece of missing Ditra for it and stuck that in. Then I started dry laying the cuts around the pillars. For this L cut I just marked the tile by flipping it and marking each distance point. I scribe it in the Sigma cutter, then just angle grind the shortest score line. I can then just use my tile pinchers to snap out the piece. And that fits in nicely. I dry cut any shapes here, as once they are done you can just spread and it makes that patch really easy and quick to lay. I find that's always the most efficient way of working, get the hard bit out the way and then just enjoy the easy bit. With them all stuck down, I called it a day there. I think that was about 4 hours to get that lot stuck down. I'll leave the back of the cupboard until last, then that just leaves me a comfortable day to finish the other side of the flower bed and finish up. Next day now, and I start by using my tape to measure a joint and tile to give me a spread line to work to. Then I can just start spreading and filling in that section. I use my long level again to make sure I'm square with my other tiles. I mark and cut the angles the same as before, then make sure everything is square using my level. Then this just leaves me a nice bit of filling in, working back to my main line. And now you can see the tiles I've left out for the mat. My last thing to do is just fill in the back of the cupboard. It's a lot easier to work in there now the other tiles have set. I place those cuts in, give them a clean, and that is all the tiling done. And that was a very nice, easy floor to do. Next, onto the grouting. To match the tiles, I'm using a Kirikol Fugabella number 26, which is a brownie gold contrast. As I said before, you grout the manufactured joints here as well as between the tiles. As these tiles have ceramic-like elements, the grout will set very quickly, so I just work in sections here and check the grout constantly for when it's starting to turn. Then as usual, I give it a dirty wash first to remove some of the residue. Then I come back with a clean wash to finish it up and shape the joints. And when it was all said and done, this is how it looked. That was super easy to do. Like I say, it's a nice tile to use for beginners. I'd like to use them every day if I could. So a great transformation from the old concrete floor, giving this garden porch room a nice, airy, classic feel. Thanks for watching guys, and I'll catch you in the next one.